This podcast is brought to you by Independent Building Advice. IBA acknowledges traditional owners of the land and waters this podcast is recorded on. If you find this episode helpful, follow us for more so we can continue putting out free value for all homeowners in Australia. It really goes a long way. Enjoy the episode.
Okay, Bianca.
You're making me nervous.
There we go. No,
Okay.
it's all good. That'll be fine. Okay, this is episode 3 of our podcast, the Home Building Podcast. In this podcast today, we actually have Bianca Campbell, who is the director of White Door Studio, based out of home base in Subiaco. We actually share an office together. We're actually a friend of mine. Bianca has been in the building industry for 20 years as an architectural designer as well as interior design. And today we're mainly going to be talking about the interior design part of all that. Great personality, great person to have on, and we're going to pick your brains on interior design tips for that. And probably get you on regularly for other podcasts going in the future. Welcome.
Cool. Thank you. Thank you for having me. I feel very honoured to be the first.
Yeah, our first guest. Absolutely. So we can make all our mistakes today and you can help us through it.
Good.
It should be great. But look, at the end of the day, building's a great journey, and I find with colours, which is what you're here for, a big part of that is making sure that your colours are great. I found that you can design the world's best home, and if you get your colours wrong, then it's terrible. But if you had a badly designed home and your colour's right, you know what, you can get away with it, you can live with it. And I find colours are a really major part of getting your home right. I've designed personally some beautiful homes and the colours are not right, and it's terrible. And getting the right advice from someone like yourself that can just bring it together, and sometimes it just works. You go into a room and go, wow, this just works, is an art. I mean, I can design a home all day long. I just can't. Sometimes I can tell you what I don't like colour-wise. I find it really hard to tell you what I do like, and obviously a photo helps. So want to get your feedback on this.
Yep.
Do you find a lot of clients are like me that they can't pull it together?
Yeah. So definitely, I think that having the right colours in the house is the missing piece at the end of the day. So I'll give you my house, for example. So we bought our house, and it's actually not that old. It was built in 2017, and we've just renovated it because like a mini reno. The kitchen was, you'd walk into the kitchen and be like, okay, well, it's actually a really decent sized kitchen. There's a really cool island. There's plenty of storage, but why is it just gross?
Yeah.
And not to discredit anyone, like the builder did a fantastic job. The house is actually really functional, but it was just didn't have that wow factor. So, and it's generally because there's a lot of competing elements. So
What do you mean by that? Yeah.
So it's basically if you've got everything trying to be the standout piece and nothing is standing out because they're all competing for attention.
Too busy.
Yeah, too busy.
Yeah.
Or if you've got competing tones. So that was the case with our house. So we had the base, like the cabinets and the bench top were beautiful, warm undertones. And then we had these really weird, like cool blue glass splashback and dark, cool grey tiles that just...
Are you saying cool colours, or are you saying that they're cool?
No, they weren't cool.
Okay,
They were cool colours, yeah. Cool colours. I'm talking about the
cool.
tones.
Yeah.
No, definitely not.
Okay.
So, yeah, we had to, and fortunately they were the most affordable things to change. So the splashback and the tiles were the most affordable things to change. So, and then we just basically reset the colour palette. So we had these beautiful grey stone bench tops and grey toned wood look cabinets, and we replaced the glass splashback with a white subway tile that we laid in herringbone.
Okay, yeah, cool. Yeah, cool.
So that added added a bit of texture because we were removing the colour, but again, we already had like a good base. And then we did some beautiful oak flooring, and so that had the warm tones as well. So it just tied everything together, and that was just removing what wasn't working and replacing it with a complementary colour.
Great. So there's a few things there to ask you about. Okay, so when you were looking at the house to renovate, did you obviously you chose the place, and you bought that with the intention to renovate?
Yes.
Yeah. So were you looking for, okay, what is an easy replacement thing to change there that will give you, if I change that splashback or I change this, that was actually minimal cost, easy return? Is that what you were sort of thinking? Or
yeah, absolutely, because it was for our own house as well. So, I mean, I could have changed everything, but that was definitely, we were looking at it for, okay, well, like I said, the kitchen was really functional in itself, but it just needed material upgrade.
Switch out of a few things. And that's
Yeah.
it. Okay, so that's actually one of the first questions I wanted to ask you about, or talk to you about was, so if someone's coming along and they look at a house and they're looking at a design, where do you, like, let's say you're designing a kitchen, where do you start? Because I've had many conversations with people and I've got my opinion on it, and you're probably going to tell me I'm totally wrong. But like, you go, okay, we got the flooring, and then you got the cupboards, then you got the top, and then you got the waterfall ends, and then you've got the splashback, and then you got the overhead cupboards, and you got your paint colours of the walls. Which one do you choose first? And then also talking about textures, like you mentioned earlier, like which do you have a feature tile? That's where what's the first step of all that process? Yeah,
so I think that's a really good question, and it can get overwhelming pretty easily for people. So especially because generally with design, you've got someone assisting you, but when it comes to the colours and things, you're very often left to your own devices. Yeah. Now, where to start is it's a good question. If you're renovating, you've got to think about what's staying and what's going. Okay. So let's take, for example, we've got a house that's a period house, and you've got Jarrah floors. So that's staying. So you've got to work with those Jarrah floors. That's something that's basically...
So you lock that down.
Yeah.
That's the base. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So look at the things that you have to work around and see how they work together, and then you can add in elements that complement those.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. Okay. So, but if you're designing from scratch, obviously it's a little bit more flexible, so it's easier. And I would still probably start with the flooring. I think the flooring's a good place to start.
That's what I'm telling everybody. So I'll be telling everyone, hey, start with the flooring, because and most people are pretty they know what they want. So there's stone, timber, so okay, start with the flooring.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
And flooring's a good place to start because there are a lot of options. There are a lot of colour options and texture and all the rest of it. Whereas your stone bench tops, generally, I mean, there is good variation now, but obviously there's different pricing, and generally the ones that are really, really nice are higher price points. Course, they're a little bit more inflexible with that.
Yeah, my rule is always, if you really like it, it's expensive.
Absolutely.
It's like that. Yeah. The more you like it, the more it's because everyone does as well. Okay. Yeah. So you talked before about with your place that it was too busy, that too many things going on. Is there like a rule that you have for that with kitchen design? So, for example, if you had like the timber floors you mentioned before, a really lovely timber floors, is there a rule for the kitchen to offset that, or with colour layout? So you mentioned about being too busy, that kind of thing.
Yeah. So generally with your cabinetry, you want to stick to, if you're unsure, stick to two colours. Okay. If you're a little bit more confident, you can go add in a third contrasting, and we call that the rule of thirds, which applies to a lot of things. So, or the 3-colour rule, some people will say. And it's always a good idea to put the darker cabinets on the base rather than the top, as a general rule.
Okay, darker on the base.
Yeah, okay, because it's generally that's going to drop. So darker colours recede, lighter colours advance. That's generally kind of how...
Go a real depth with that one. I haven't heard that before. So
darker colours recede. So a darker colour will always make a space look smaller or heavier, whereas a lighter colour will make it feel bigger and brighter and lift it. So if you're putting a darker colour on the overhead cabinets, it can work so long as you tie it in somewhere else and you anchor it. Maybe if you've got like a laminate pantry that goes from floor to ceiling and you're anchoring in the overheads to the ground.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's like a constant. By anchoring, you mean that's the standard. Everything else is contrasted or based off that, like So if you're using
the darker color on top, we're anchoring it to the ground, so your eye is visually drawn and it kind of just flows around the space. That's what I mean. Yeah. But if you're not confident, stick to the darker colors on the bottom, because your eye is automatically going to drop anyway.
Gotcha.
With those darker colours, and then keep the lighter ones to the top, the overhead cabinets. And it will make the space feel bigger, especially if you don't have the luxury of high ceilings.
Yeah, well, that's a good point. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, because I see a lot of people like dark kitchens, but I find that, personally, location in the home makes a big difference what you should go dark or light.
Yes.
If you're not getting a lot of natural light and you go dark cupboards, dark top, it can feel really dark and not warm. But then the opposite, if you've got a lot of light and that, then go for it. But you're right. If you, it makes sense with the darker tops of the light. It and grounding, it brings all three of those elements together. Yeah.
Yeah. And so stick to, you can, or if you want to bring in a third, like I was talking about before, third color. And when we say darker, it doesn't always have to be like black and white. So it could just be generally a slightly darker grey or green or blue or whatever you're bringing in, or even your oak colors.
Yeah.
So the wood look ones. But then if you want to bring in a third contrasting one, keep it to one focal point like your island.
Yeah.
So that's a really great place to introduce a really cool focal colour with that third colour that ties them together.
The back cabinetry, one option, and then you just add a bit of the spice to the kitchen window. Oh, yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, and then obviously there's so many textures you can do out there for features. Like a lot of people do the flute, sort of timber look. That's really really popular. Just give that bit of element. Is that like is textures? How does textures play into everything with the kitchen sort of?
Yeah, texture is great. So obviously laminates, if you're going for a wood look, you're going to get texture in the visual, not necessarily the way it feels, but you'll get that visual texture. So a lot of people are going for like the wood grain looks, which is beautiful. The fluted paneling, which is also really beautiful.
We'll supply photos in the notes. Most people know what we're actually talking about here. But yeah.
And then your tiling as well and your flooring. So, and if you're adding a lot of texture, you want to try and keep it all the same, relatively the same color. So if you don't want too many competing things. So if you've got lots of texture, keep them all the same tone. So all kind of light tones. But if you've got like a really textured dark grey fluted paneling, and then you've got like a textured tile, and you've got like veins running through your bench top, again, it's going to get too busy. So, but you can play with those textures, just keep them either all moody and all the same kind of inky greys and blues, or keep them beige and light white. Yeah.
And that's where they should speak to White Door Studios about how you apply. Because I find that, from my experience talking to people, that they find the whole process of colours confusing. And I think you do have to be trained and have the experience that you've got, where you've seen what mistakes people have made, but also and learnt from them, not yours but from other people's, but also see what works and doesn't work, and you have a natural eye for it. But it's such a dangerous and risky thing to do, because you go out there and design this kitchen, and if you want to, I want to go outside the norm, and I want to try and do something left field here. I want to show a bit of personality in my home, and you get it wrong. It's a very expensive mistake to make, and
yes,
I think that bravery of doing it, and that's why I respect some of my clients who I go to the house and go, wow, I would never in a million years, and these are homes that you've designed, that you've been involved in, because we do a lot of design and interior design stuff with you, and usually that's great. But they, and I go, oh my God, there's no way I'd choose these colours, but it works and it's awesome, and I respect the bravery of doing it, and they've pulled it off. Whereas other homes, they've tried it and it hit and miss. Not your clients, of course, but you go, so close, it doesn't quite work, and it might be a door handle that throws it out.
Yeah.
So that courage of getting those textures and colours right, it's a fine line, unless you're experienced.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that that's what I find. Is that what you find from that?
Yeah. Look, and some people you don't have to be formally trained. Some people just have an eye for it, which is great. And I love when we get a client, and they come in and they want to be a little bit adventurous. It's fun.
Yeah.
So yeah.
We've got a client at the moment in South Perth, Bree. I'll shout out to you. And we go to the home and go, this is amazing. Like just your furniture, everything is just off the charts. The paint, you just go, wow, this is got a really good eye for it. Whereas I don't necessarily have the best eye for it, and my wife tells me about that all the time. But you get that. So when you've got kitchen designs, I just find a lot of people just go white, because white.
It's safe.
It's safe, and I think that comes back to that fear factor. Any ideas or thoughts about that, how that works? And another one behind that is also Hamptons. People go, I like Hamptons style. Now, Hamptons is very popular.
Yep.
My thoughts on that is that I think a lot of people aren't sure what they like, and they're going, oh, well, Hamptons is close enough, and it's become like a cliche sort of word that people use, when it might not be Hamptons what they're after, but it's a version.
Yes.
But that's the closest thing they can label it. Are they better off with saying, I want this style, or are they better off saying, oh, white? How do you get away from just all white, unless that's what people really want?
Yeah. I think my number one tip that would be a really great takeaway, and I think probably a lot of people probably do anyway, but is to have a vision board. Okay. Because it's very easy to get off track as well, or to play it safe and just go, you know what, I can't decide, just do it all white. Because it's easier, just go white tiles, white cabinetry, and chrome sinks. And not that there's anything wrong with that, because it is a fresh timeless
no,
look.
I love it. Yeah, it's a good look. I'm not knocking it. Yeah.
Absolutely, but it can look a little clinical.
Yeah.
And then you can bring colours in your decor items. So you can have vases and tea towels and whatever else to add a little bit of colour. But yeah, I think a vision board is a really great way to stay on track. And Pinterest is good for that, but you can get a little lost in Pinterest because you just start pinning, oh, I like that and I like that, and they may not necessarily go. So what I would recommend is if you're using Pinterest, great, but either save them, screenshot the best ones, save them into an album on your phone, or use some kind of software, whether it's even a Word document or Canva is fantastic, and actually put them all together and see how they go. And do they actually go? And do you have too many conflicting elements there? So I think a vision board is essential for anyone doing a DIY or otherwise. Even when people come to us, we always say, have you got some pre-selected ideas? Print them out. Let's take a look at them, because often we can see there's a common element in there and it's like, okay, I like this Hamptons look. I'm calling it Hamptons. But what I really like is just it's just a take on a coastal vibe. But people's interpretation of Hamptons can be very different. So some people, Hamptons is blue and white and, really sea foamy colours. And other ones is, we're adding in even black elements. So it's just your interpretation. So I think a vision board is absolutely key.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think also the problem with styles is like you said, styles can be misinterpreted. I designed a display home years ago with the builder I was working for. I remember saying to the interior design team, we want, glamour, and I didn't send them any photos with glamour. Obviously glamour's glamour, right? Yeah. And I remember they did a full wall and it had, basically pelicans, and it had a in a jungle. It had a jungle setting on this wall, and I went in there and I went, what the hell is that? That's not glamour. Yeah. And then they showed me 25 photos of similar things with glamour. I went, but this is not the glamour I was thinking. I was thinking this glamour, and then you live and learn. Yeah. But we're on completely different pages, and that's the problem when you use a theme. I mean, if you say coastal, what's coastal? You got surfboards everywhere. Or does that mean light and bright? So I think if you go down that path, you got to be very careful. But a vision board or a photo, I want that. They say what they say about pictures is 1,000 words. It's true. And especially with colours and. Absolutely.
And that's like when we come into the studio and they've got their vision board or we've created one for them. It's fantastic. It's a great starting point. We'll print it out and be like, okay, tell me what it is you like about this. Yeah. And because I might look at it and go, oh, there's beautiful exposed beams there. And they've just gone, oh, I didn't even realize there was exposed beams.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
And then what we're doing is taking from that. So we ask those discovery questions. And that's a good thing for even the clients to do themselves if they're, again, DIY. Is to ask themselves some discovery questions like, how do I live in this house? And what colours actually make me feel calm? And, those kinds of questions. Yeah. And then we're piecing it together in the studio and we're basically just pulling all those colours onto the table and seeing how they all work together, which is really, really important.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing that they have to work together because you might have completely polarising ideas for your splashback and then your stone top, or we're just talking specifically about the kitchen here, but this could be the whole home. And then you have a feature wall that's talking about the whole house and just about your timber. Yeah, they're great ideas, but not all in the one home.
Exactly.
And that, you see why people get the renovation bug where they keep renovating because they try different styles in each house, which works well. But look, really putting those colours together is really the key there with making your home work. Do you... how do you look at it when you've got a kitchen layout that's got really nice colours and how does it have to match with the paint in the other rooms? Could you do different styles in each room or say the Kitchen Mills family is one big open area, do they all have to blend together?
I think it's great if you have a few different styles and you want to bring in that personality, but there has to be, there doesn't have to be, but to make a space look elevated, they all have some level of cohesion. So they have a similar vibe. And one of my values as a designer is keeping the homes really personal. Yeah. So I love introducing some personal touches. And you absolutely can add those elements. They don't all have to match, but maybe they're not right next to each other.
Gotcha, yeah. So you're going to have like a games room separate, go nuts there. But
exactly. Yeah. And one good way is to start with your foundation pieces, your flooring, your walls, even your foundation furniture. Just keep them as a neutral base. because then you can swap out, like you were saying before about making expensive mistakes. Like you can go, I love the color green right now. I love the color green. So I'm going to go, let's do green cabinets. And green cabinets are beautiful. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I've actually done some cool houses with green cabinets, but it's a bold color choice if you don't really love green.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, and again, if you're unsure, and especially if you're doing it because it looks trendy right now, it's not like I've always loved the color green.
Yeah.
Like for me, I've always loved the color blue. So I'd probably be safe introducing blue.
Yeah. But you can do blue well.
Yes.
Because you might love the color, but you can't pull it off.
Exactly.
With the other colors. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. So, no, you're all good. So start with a neutral base and then add in, things that are easy to change out. So some printable art, or again, like cushions, throw rugs, vases. Those things are relatively inexpensive to change.
Yeah.
And you can literally transform an entire room by using just a few decor items.
Yeah,
so
absolutely. Yeah,
if you're not sure, I think, start your foundational pieces, and that will give you that cohesion that you're looking for from your kitchen to your dining and your living, and especially when we're talking about open plan.
Yeah.
So, I think that's probably a good starting point.
Yeah, I guess, you want to play it safe as best you can. I remember going to a house in Fremantle Way, and the clients were wanting to build a house for us, and we met them at their home. And they were absolutely stumped as to why they couldn't sell their house. And I'm looking around their house going, all your walls are dark blue and all your doors are canary yellow, which is the Eagles colours, because I'm mad Eagles fans. And they were living in the heart of Fremantle, which is Docker's area.
Right.
And going, I wonder why you can't sell it. Because people can't look past colours. I've had people go to display homes and go, I want to build that display home down the road. And you go, well, what do you like about it? I love that feature wall.
Yeah.
What else do you like about it? Oh, no, just the feature wall. Okay, well, we can do something in your own
that.
home.
Yeah, exactly.
People love colours and they fall in love with it.
Yeah.
But you're right. If you're not sure, you can't pull out that colour.
Yes.
Well, I think seek expert help.
Yeah.
Because why risk it? And that small investment in getting small investment considering to the whole house, getting it right with someone like yourself or or whoever you trust for it, it's going to pay off for you big time. Make that colour work and sleep at night knowing, did I pull it off? It's a long wait to have the house renovation finish or the house built to find out whether you nailed it or not. It's like, yes, we pulled it off, thank God, or oh my God, we've made a huge mistake.
Yeah, exactly.
Which works really well. So any other tips that you've got for clients with colours? So obviously you've covered a lot with the Pinterest boards and the mood boards. Any other ideas that people have?
So I think probably one other tip that I have, we've talked a lot about, keeping your foundational pieces neutral and adding in elements. But one thing that I think where you'd walk into a space like you said before, and it's like, why do I love this house? Like, what is it that looks really good about it? And you can't pinpoint it. I think it's generally down to the fact that they've layered the colours, they've layered the textures. So layering will take your place, the space that you've designed from looking, okay, that looks kind of cool, to wow, this is actually really, really awesome. And layering is like, you could have beautiful kitchen design, you've got this really awesome leather sofa and a coffee table, and then that's it. But if you haven't layered that and added in some visual interest, so you've got a couple of coffee table books that match the legs of the table. So you've got black coffee table books, black legs on the leather sofa. You've got some white cushions that pick up the cabinetry. So adding in those layers is going to elevate the room.
Yeah, look, I've seen it firsthand where I've seen you actually go, I'll just add this to something. And it just gives you that professional level versus winging it here. I don't really know what I'm doing. It just adds that. It's like the when you see an artist SketchUp and they actually do the shading, and they're actually adding that next level
exactly
to that. You've got I actually missed that earlier. You've actually got a fine arts background anyway, so you know this better than I do. But yeah, it's that extra attention to detail and adding those, as you said, layers to it that I think makes a big difference.
Yeah, and it's really not hard to do. It takes a little bit of practice, but it's not hard to do. Yeah. And cushions, you can return cushions if they don't work. So
maybe not after a few years, but but
see how you go, and then if they're not working, you can return them. So
magic, awesome. I think they're great tips, Bianca. I think that's awesome. Last question that I'm going to ask you, and then we ask everybody the same thing is, you're building or renovating a home, whichever, and you've gone, oh my gosh, this is great. Then all of a sudden, a long lost relative has left you $10,000 in their will, and you must spend it on your home. What would you spend it on to take your house to the next level as a bit of wow? What do you think? I've actually been dying to ask you this question because this is you of all people would be an interesting answer here. So
I know.
What is it?
Well, luckily you gave me well, I don't know if it was lucky or not, but you gave me this question to think about. And I keep changing my mind. So.
That's as you can.
So yeah, first off, I was thinking $10,000. Wow, I would have some. I mean, if you've already got all your great foundational pieces, I think it would be great to spend $10,000 and really elevating the space, like I said, and adding in those cool decor items.
Yep.
But then I kind of went to, all right, well, if I had $10,000 and I'm only going to have it this once, I would do a natural stone bench top and really splash out on my island bench top.
What do you mean by natural stone bench top?
So natural stone is quarried stone. So it's actually not engineered or manufactured. So it comes, granites, marbles, limestone, and you can actually go and pick the slab. It's a whole experience.
Magic.
And yeah, so I think that would be an awesome way to spend $10,000. Or a really cool piece of art that just brings everything together. Because having a fine arts background, to me, that's something that I can appreciate, and I'm notorious for never finishing a piece. But if I had to pick one, I think I'm going to have to go the bench top.
Yeah. There's some pretty epic bench tops out there, and it's your kitchen. It's, hey, whoa.
You use it every day, and I know that like cleaning that bench top at the end of the day, I'd be like, it's worth it.
Yeah,
I love it.
Yeah, and you put plastic over it so no one can damage it and hurt it.
Exactly.
And take the plastic off when you sell it. No, look, there's one of those things also. If you're having drinks with friends or something like that, you're chatting and it's there, it's the centerpiece of your home. No, I love it. Mind you, though, you've got the skill to bring all that together. You want to make sure you do. But look, I think that's an excellent decision. I think all those are all great ideas. Mm-hmm. And you're right. It's just you just need lots of distant relatives gives you lots of $10,000 to have more, right?
I know.
But no, that's great. Thank you, Bianca, for coming in. White Door Studio is going from strength to strength. You guys have a lot on, but obviously you look after your customers really well. And just on that, you do have the interior design arm, but you also have the architectural design.
Yes.
And we, Independent Building Advice uses you guys a lot. Mm-hmm. Everything you've done, we've been wrapped with, so it's awesome. And we're both at home base, which is great.
Yes.
So if anyone's listening and they want to reach out to Bianca, please do. Great service, and they'll you really look after your customers and make sure that you tailor the interior design to suit them. Yeah. Specific their special life and everything else like that, and you do look out for them to get a good result at the end, which is awesome. So I think you do a great job.
Great.
Keeping it you and your team, so it's awesome. From there.
Great. Thank you so much for having me. It's been fun.
My pleasure. No worries. All right. So we've got more podcasts coming, and thanks very much.